The views expressed on the following broadcasts do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT, Take 12 Radio, or our affiliates. The opinions on this show should not be considered as medical, psychological, or professional advice and are those of the host, co-host, and guest. Take 12 Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. And now, here are your co-hosts, Bruce H. and the Monty'man.
Well, greetings, family, and welcome aboard the Good Ship Recovery. Welcome to December. Welcome to the gates opening into the holiday season.
Here we are again.
Here we are again. We have snowflakes falling from the rafters here at the studio. We even have a snowflake on Bruce's microphone.
Yeah, right. I've kind of enjoyed. Last week I had this pink box staring me in the face, and this week it's blue. So,
yeah, they're called mic flags.
Mic flags.
Mic flags, and you have a blue one now.
Yes, I do.
You don't have the girly pink one.
No.
But
I do appreciate the way that you've decorated the studio.
The studio,
here.
yeah. Well, thank you. And we'll get some pictures up soon. We got the. I don't know if I'm going to put the tree up this year or not. I got a little tree in front of the monitor. Haven't decided on that yet. It just depends on how manic I get this week. Oh, my goodness. Well, this week we're going to be talking about steps 8 and 9. At least we're going to start out this little project. This may take a couple of weeks to do, folks. And particularly or more, I can't even talk right today. Personalizing steps 8 and 9. We're going to talk about maybe how Bruce and I both, some of the experiences we've had in this process. This amends thing is huge. It is absolutely huge, and not to minimize any of the other steps, but it is just such a big deal. Because if we aren't about the business of doing right by our fellows and representing God properly by cleaning up the mess that we made, or at the very least being willing to do our best to do so, we're going to be lacking severely in any form of quality recovery. Wouldn't you agree, Bruce?
I agree.
Yeah. So we're gonna be talking about steps 8 and 9. We're gonna launch forth on that. But before we do that, let's listen from our two sponsors, and then we've got recovery news and focus and some other goodies coming up. Don't go away.
As men and women who have recovered from utterly hopeless states of addiction ourselves, we know all too well what it is like to battle addiction daily. We are Origins Recovery Centers. Here at Origins, we have taken that which we have learned along the way, excised anything unhelpful and unnecessary, infused it with the latest in medical research and innovative therapeutic methods, and created what we know to be the absolute gold standard in substance abuse treatment. And Origins provides the most preeminent aftercare and relapse prevention program available in the United States. For a free, confidential clinical assessment, call toll-free 888-843-8935. That's 888-843-8935. Origins, delivering real solutions for real families.
Choosing a facility for drug and alcohol rehabilitation treatment is an important decision. It should be a place where you will be comfortable and supported, and one that is staffed, equipped, and programmed for successful outcomes. Introducing Free by the Sea, located on 5 acres of secluded waterfront property along the southwest Washington coast, away from big city distractions. The campus is a renovated resort property, so the grounds are lush and beautiful. Above all, the reason to choose Free by the Sea is the success rate of our counselors and staff in helping clients to transition to a life free from addiction. For more information or to schedule a visit, call 800-272-9199 or visit our website at www.freebythesea.com. Free by the Sea, charting a new course to recovery.
Oh, no.
With a little sugar on top and a ho-ho-ho, here's Monty'man's Recovery News in Focus.
Everybody sing along. All right. Recovery. Thank you, Cecil. Recovery news in focus starting out the first week in December. Alcohol and the kiddies in Britain. Check this out. The accusations came regarding the deregulation bill, which is currently going through the House of Lords and repeals a law made in 2003 that criminalized the selling of liquor confectionery to children younger than 16. Candy with booze in it, basically. Speaking during question time in the Lords on Monday, Labour's Lord Brooke suggested ministers were bowing to pressure from the alcohol industry, as reported by the Evening Standard. The number of children who are presenting drunk has gone up substantially. It seems that the government has responded to the industry's pressure to remove the law that presently deters the sale of liquor to children and other forms of food. Because the sale of alcohol in liquid forms has been declining, the industry is now seeking to extend the areas in which it is selling alcohol in other forms, particularly those available to children, like ice cream with vodka in it, sorbet with vodka in it. So now, because the consumption of alcohol by adults has gone down, they've decided to target the kids.
What does that tell you about the world and
brother,
what it's coming to?
It's a mess.
It is.
It's a mess. All right, let's talk about food addiction, shall we?
You know, the thing that bothers me about this whole thing with the children
What's that?
is that they can start this and get away with it. Mm-hmm. And then if they do stop it, there's no repercussion to it whatsoever.
No. Isn't that the truth? Yeah.
That just amazes me.
So food addiction, probably yours and mine's favorite topic. We didn't even have to read this. All we have to do is laugh. Those who spend hours every day stuffing their faces because they just can't say no to food might have one of the most controversial addictions ever displayed. The author of Food Junkies, a book exploring food addictions, says plenty of medical professionals deny that food addiction exists. These critics say testing surrounded the topic has been inconclusive, that addiction is a fad-related term, and that it's not possible because it does not come with withdrawal. What?
A lie.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, Lord have mercy. It seems no one can agree whether food addiction exists or not. Dr. Nicole Avena, a research scientist at Mount Sinai School of Medicine in New York, said some people find that controversial because of the implications of finding that food is addictive. She said critics believe that if food addiction is recognized as an addiction, it will open the doors for people trying to regulate food and put limits on the quantities you can buy. I don't know if you remember when they tried to regulate the size of the soda pop being sold in New York.
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. See, you know that there's probably some truth to that, Monty.
I think there may be.
See, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
I have something to say about this food addiction, though. When you get through,
food is addictive. But my book goes beyond that and says there is a subpopulation who, when they eat this stuff, it takes over their life. It can be even more addictive than substances like cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely true.
Absolutely. You know when you used to wake up in the mornings and all you could think about all day is how you could get some drugs?
Sure.
And it was just consuming. And, you know, you'd be on the couch watching TV, you'd do anything.
Oh, yeah.
You go get something to eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
To take this thought away, but it was just all consuming. Well, it's the same thing with food.
Sure it is.
You become addicted to eating and using that for comfort, and it does give you that. And all you can think about is, well, get some chips. Well, this might work, or that might work, or just a little more of this, and it's all consuming to you. It is an addiction.
Yeah.
And we're not eating that food because for nourishment.
Right. We're not eating to live. We're living to eat. Yeah. Well, listen to what Weight Watchers says, which I thought was really just ignorant. They say in order to include food in the list of addictive substances or eating an addiction under the classic definition, a specific chemical that causes changes in the body's reward system and addiction would have to be identified. It is. It's called dopamine.
They don't know anything about the spiritual aspect of this thing either, do they?
No, they surely do not. They surely do not. But to say that there's no chemical in the body that changes when you eat is you're just being ignorant. We all know that when you eat, that our dopamine levels raise, our pleasure center raises.
That's right.
We know that. And then with the spiritual end, they haven't even touched on that.
Yeah.
Well, check this out, Bruce. Top 10 musicians with songs promoting substance abuse. Not talking about substance abuse, promoting it. Okay, now a couple of these artists, the first one, I'll go from the smallest to the last. The last one does have some songs about recovery. But in his repertoire, he has a whole ton of them promoting drugs. Okay, number 10, Wu-Tang Clan. Don't know who they are. 54 songs promoting addiction. Number 9, Cottonmouth Kings. What a name, right? If you're the Cottonmouth Kings, you better have some drug promotion songs, right? 58 songs in their repertoire. Tom Waits, 61 songs. Jay-Z, 63 songs promoting drug addiction and substance abuse. Tech 9, 64 songs. Nas, 67. Lil Wayne, 72. Tupac, 85. Atmosphere, 94. And the number one of the top musicians with more songs promoting substance abuse than any other, Eminem, with 121. So, there it is. Recovery News in Focus for this week. Oh, I'm just so chipper today.
Don't you think
we're not done, Brucey. It's time for Take 12 Christmas Trivia.
Cecil. Oh, my goodness. I had a question to ask Monty.
Can you remember it? Or you better ask me. Go ahead and ask me.
Well, I was just thinking, if there's that many people promoting drug songs, and there's a market for that, what does that tell you about the rampantness of addiction today?
Oh, Lord have mercy, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's not a part of our culture. It is our culture.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, here's on the lighter side. Okay, we have three questions and a bonus. All right, number 1. Yeah. The song White Christmas was first performed in which 1942 film? Here are your choices. Holiday Inn, White Christmas, or Uncle Bernie's China White Adventures?
White Christmas was Bing Crosby, wasn't it?
Well, let's see. Santa says no. It was actually Holiday Inn with Fred Astaire and Bing Crosby was the first time.
Oh, Bing Crosby, that's who it was, yeah.
And okay, question number 2. What color are the berries of the mistletoe plant? Here are your choices. White, red, or cannabis green?
Cannabis berry?
No, the mistletoe berry.
Mistletoe berry?
Yeah, white, red, or green?
Let's go with green, because I don't know.
Green? Well, let's see. That was Jingle Bells would tell you that you're wrong. It is actually white.
No, I was going to say white.
You?
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I purely guessed.
One of these days, maybe next week, I'll tell you the story about the mistletoe berries I told everybody I ate when I really didn't. When I was younger. Okay, number 3. From which country does the poinsettia plant originate? Mexico, Italy, or Colombia?
Mexico.
Very good, Bruce. Yeah. Bruce got one right.
I thought I was going to get 3 wrong today. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Name the original 8 reindeer from the Night Before Christmas.
Oh, no, I can't do it.
Okay, do your best.
Oh, gosh. Donner and Blitzen and I don't know.
This is really hard.
Yeah,
I asked a lot of people this question, and nobody could get it right.
I just don't know them all.
Well, there's Comet, there's Cupid, there's Dasher, there's Dancer, there's Prancer, there's Vixen, there's Donner, and there's Blitzen. Now check this out. Yeah. The poem is alternatively titled "A Visit from St. Nicholas." 'Twas the night before Christmas is the first line. The poem was first published anonymously in 1823 and is commonly attributed to Clement Clark Moore, although some believe Henry Livingston was the true author. Rudolph was created later in 1939 by copywriter Robert May for the Montgomery Ward department store chain as the main character in a free Christmas promotional story which extended the 1823 poem and was subsequently turned into the popular song Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Incidentally, Donner and Blitzen mean thunder and lightning in German. Interesting. Yeah. So there you go. Comet, Cupid, Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Donner, Blitzen. That's almost as bad as pride, greed, lust, anger, gluttony, and be sloth.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the seven dwarfs for me. Now, you'd think I'd be able to name those, and I can't.
I can't name them. Sneezy, dopey, sleepy, grumpy, drug dealer, alcoholic. I don't know. All righty. Yes, indeed. Well, that wraps it up for Take 12 Trivia for this week.
We want to thank Cecil.
Yes. Thank you, Cecil. Cecil, you're so nice to us. One of these days, we're going to have a picture of Cecil. Working on it.
Does he look like the C6 sea serpent?
No, he doesn't look like the C6 sea serpent. Boy, a lot of people aren't even going to know what you're talking about. I do, though. I had a Beanie and Cecil hat.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord have mercy. All right, let's hear from Serenity Springs. We come back. Let's tackle steps 8 and 9. Or at least we're going to start on that. Don't go away.
Serenity Springs Recovery Center, located on the beautiful east coast of Florida. A unique facility that is committed to providing exceptional individual care in small group settings while utilizing their experienced and dedicated clinical and support staff of licensed therapists and doctors. Visit their website, serenityspringsrecovery.com, or call 386-423-4540. Serenity Springs, making a life-changing investment into your recovery.
Okay, we're back. Oh, by the way, and I totally spaced this off. We have a brand new name for this show. It is called, what is it called? It is called The Great Reality. So it's been open forum for years, and we're shifting gears a little bit. Bruce is back with us, and we're working on getting another co-host, a female, so we can, get some sense to this thing and maybe some balance. And we'll just keep you posted on that. But I thought long and hard about this, and I just love this. The Great Reality is the name of our show on Wednesdays now. And this comes from 161 in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous called A Vision for You. It says, they knew, and who are they? They're talking about the people that were gathering together to work on recovering from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body in the early days of Alcoholics Anonymous. They knew they had a host of new friends. It seemed they had known these strangers always. They had seen miracles, and one was come to them. This is what it was. They had visioned the great reality, their loving and all-powerful Creator. And so that is what our show's name of our show is from this point forward until we decided to do something even more manic and change it again. But so welcome to The Great Reality here on Wednesday at Take 12 Recovery Radio. So steps 8 and 9. I'll just read these from how it works on page 59 in the third edition of the Big Book. It says here, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. That's step 8. Step 9 says, make direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. This is probably going to take us a few weeks. This is such a huge piece. So in step 8, we made a list of all persons, and we're going to tell you how that's really quite simple because you've already done that, hopefully. In step 4, we had that we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Then we make that direct amends, and may I say it is a direct amends. We could talk about that as we work through this thing to such people wherever possible, except there is an exception here when to do so would injure them or others, and we're going to talk about what that really means as we move forth in this step. So I want to jump over really quick to page 76 into action and pick up where we left off last week where it said we had completed step 7. It says, now we need more action without which we find that faith without works is dead. Let's look at steps 8 and 9. All right, Brucey.
Yeah, I think you did a good job by saying that we became willing to make amends,
Right.
To all these people. I didn't say some of them,
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. And the other thing that I think was important for people to know this, because there's such a huge thing that goes on in the rooms. We've already made this list.
Yeah.
We made it when we did our 4th step. And if you don't know what that means, I think you should go back to the 4th step and ask your sponsor and find out if he knows what that means. Because it's very important here that we understand that we're at step 8 and that we're going to become willing to make amends. And we have this list. And if you think that you're going to go out and do this with what's in your head, you're crazy. This is the place where we really start to be dependent upon God and ask Him for direction, that we might go out and be of service to Him and our fellows, that we can add to life instead of taking away from it.
Yeah, amen.
This is where we start to do this. And this is where we learn that the fellowship is so important, that God should have put these people in our place for a reason, and we're to go to them. Let me tell you a little story about what's happening with a sponsee of mine that is just remarkable to me. Mm-hmm. He does this differently than me, but it's the same method. He has his sponsees writing out what this amends will look like before they go and make it.
I mean, the whole process of going to the person and everything?
And what he's going to say and what that might look like.
Wow.
So he has them write that out, and he keep it short because they're going to talk about it, and then come to him and talk to him about it for they can get feedback, for they can go out and do this properly.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, only because and I never did that.
Uh-huh.
You see what I mean? We talked and we discussed the things before they made them. But you want to use another person, and you really at this point want to use somebody that's a good counselor, like a spiritual advisor, or a sponsor that has done the steps. I'm telling you, this step is huge. And you have to be ready to go out and do 9.
Yeah.
You do not want to go out and do 8, causing more harm than you've already done.
Yeah, and that's why we're tackling these two together, because in the spirit of the way that they are written, they are adjoined to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times we miss how important it is that we continue to move from one step to the other in a speedy fashion. And I said last week, yes, sometimes things take a little time because, we want to be thorough. But we don't want to rest on our laurels. We don't want to just do a step and go, well, I did that, now I can wait a couple of weeks and not do anything. Because there's something lost with that that pause that's too long.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that it's vitally important to know that what have we really been doing through steps 1 to step 7? We've been learning to trust in God. That's the key.
Right.
That's point 1, if there is a point.
Yeah.
We've been learning to trust Him, to use Him, to depend upon Him, to become God-reliant, not meeting-reliant, not step-reliant, not sponsor-reliant, but God-reliance.
Yeah.
And then He'll show you how to have the fellowship you've always craved. Faith without works is dead means faith produces works. Works don't produce faith.
Right. And this is where we get a little confused when we hear platitudes like fake it till you make it.
Yes.
Because people will think that what that means, and I understand the heart behind that, but what that means is that do this as if, and your mind will change, your heart will change, and all that. I got to tell you, that isn't what happened for me. God had to change my heart and my mind before I ever stepped out. And
it's
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. I think you're absolutely right. It's like let go and let God. I'm not going for that.
Right.
We do play a part. And we can really get hung up on let go and let God.
Oh, yeah.
You know? I believe that God is sovereign and He's in charge. And He's the one that calls. He's the one that sanctifies. He's the one that justifies. And He's the one that glorifies. I do believe that.
Yeah.
But there's a part we play. We're supposed to learn to live out of this blessing.
You bet.
If He's in my life today and He's removed the obsession, and I start treating people out of that blessing, I'm going to start treating people in a whole different way than I've ever treated them before in my life.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, it's only common sense.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you bet. You bet. Now, why? One of the reasons it's so important to involve somebody else in this process and have somebody come alongside of you is because sometimes our good intentions can get us into big trouble. And some people are processors. Some people, you may need some help trying to figure out who that is. And when you discuss this with a sponsor, a spiritual advisor, a counselor, they're trained. They know, or they've been through it, and they know. That kind of person you're describing is a processor, and they're not going to receive you today. Mm-hmm. I can guarantee it. We may want to move to someone else at this moment in the immense process and let them chill a little bit. We can do a lot of damage in the name of cleaning up our side of the street, when in reality, what we're saying is we want to feel better for what we've done.
Yeah, we have to be real careful. And I think that as far as the processors and those type of things, I think you're way farther advanced than me and have more knowledge than me in that order. I have some practical experience, and with drug addiction and these type of things, So I work with people on that level, and we communicate. You would communicate, but here's the key, I think, for both of us. What this thing is going to look like in my life isn't going to be what it's going to look like in yours.
Sure.
Now, I don't care if it's the same problem, but we're different people.
Yeah.
And and what I'm supposed to do is help guide you and turn you towards God, for you can get help from Him, for you can go make this proper amends. And I'm just a person to bounce it off of, because you want to know what? Our thinking isn't right yet.
Right.
This is about a renewing of the mind. This problem centers in the mind. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're going to have some really strange ideas about what it is that you're going to be going forward with and what you're going to be making amends with. Why do you think the amends is on the back side of the 4-step?
Yeah, and not in front. Which by the way, it's really common to experience somebody you're working with that's enthusiastic about getting everything done and taken care of. I don't want any problems with other people. I want to apologize. I want to make amends. And they want to do it the day after they've been to their first meeting.
Yeah.
And that is dangerous.
I did it.
Yeah, I did too.
See, I walked up
And it
to
blew
him,
up on me.
and I walked up to a guy and was telling him about it, and he says, you're so excited about this, Bruce, and you're so, this seems to be bothering you. Maybe you should go make an amends. And I did, and I almost ruined a relationship with my niece. I almost did.
Because you were going out there the Lone Ranger, right?
You bet.
Yeah.
You bet. There was no guidance, no direction. The person had been around AA for years, but never did the steps, And if they did do them, what they did was they did what we teach, Bonnie, where they just went in and read the book. And reading the book is just knowledge. You're not doing the steps.
Right.
See, we're talking about what it looks like in your life. In other words, we're actually trying to live by these principles.
Yeah.
And God is the guiding force in that.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. And, here's something that's really interesting to me. And once again, Bill W. has a way with saying the same thing using different words. We've talked about humility up to this point on a couple of occasions. He said, that, referring to that list that you were just talking about, he comes out and says that we made it when we took our inventory. Then he says something very interesting. He says, we subjected ourselves to a drastic self-appraisal. One of the best definitions I've ever heard of humility was an honest, drastic self-appraisal of oneself. So he's saying back here, you better stay humble. Which tells me I better not have a reservation in my head that's going to pop up and say, yeah, but you had a part too, right? When I'm making that amends. Because even though that may be true, that is not the time for me to be pointing that out.
No.
That's not humility.
And why is the reason to be humble, Bonnie?
Because I can't do this.
Right. See, because you want to go to him with a different attitude.
Right.
Where you can, where he can reach out and help. I think God could do anything he wanted. I've seen him do this. But when he wants to work in and through people, it's because we've emptied ourselves, because we become a vessel, because we're humble and we're recognizing the fact that the Creator is at work. And we're allowing him to do his will. You see, in other words, we've joined him in his work.
We're not asking him to join us.
Yeah.
Hey, God, if you want to tag along, it's cool.
Okay. If we get time, I'd like to mention something I heard about prayer on that. And, it was just phenomenal.
Absolutely. I find it interesting here. It says, now we go out to our fellows and repair the damage done. It doesn't say we go out and apologize. There's a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've been apologizing for years.
So how do we repair? I think it's different in every circumstance.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? To repair that. And we know, and the answer will come if we're patient and stay focused on him.
The thing that I hear from people when coming to this step is it's usually one way or the other. It's not usually a healthy balance yet. It's either I want to do all this right now and get it done right away, regardless of the other person's feelings or where they're at, or, gee, this is too scary. I just can't approach this situation. I'm just not going to do that because of fear of fallout or whatever. And then and whenever there's anything in italics here, it means pay a very close attention.
You bet.
It says, remember it was agreed in the beginning. So that is, when we're making the approach with the person we're talking with, we would go to any lengths for victory over alcohol.
Mm-hmm. Turn the page.
Okay.
Turn the page.
All right.
And look up top on the page on the right-hand side.
On the right-hand side.
And see where it says that, remember, you'd go to any lengths.
Yes, remembering ourselves that we would have decided to go to any lengths to find a spiritual experience.
We're talking about, we're still in the same step.
We're still in the same step. Here's that prayer you're talking about, isn't it? Is this it? There's a prayer directive. I love that. There's a prayer directive, and sometimes more than one, in each step. So if you object to prayer, you may want to.
Yeah, and tie the two together. That we're going to have to have one over alcohol,
right?
And to do that, we're going to have this spiritual experience.
And it says, we ask. Who do we ask? We ask God. We ask that we be given strength and direction to do the right thing, no matter what the personal consequences may be.
Now, why would we do that?
Because we can't do it in our strength.
Yeah, and it's because of what you were just talking about. Because, see, we're going to want to go out and do it for this reason or that reason. We're not out there doing it to glorify God and to be a benefit to other people. See, what we want to do is do it for us. I don't care what side you come down on, what you just got through saying
right.
earlier. That's about us, what we want.
That's our nature, is to
right.
be selfish and self-seeking. We want to do this to make ourselves feel, better.
Altruistic movement.
Yeah. Yeah.
The unselfish concern for another human being. Oh, Monty. And people are sitting in there saying this is a selfish program. No, it's not.
Yeah.
That's why you can't do it without God's aid. Because we're selfish to the core.
Yeah. Yeah. And we forget that this, and may I just say, if you're going out and making amends, and your whole purpose for doing that is to free you up, then you're doing it for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Now, it might be a good thing, and it might
that's
turn
a result.
out right.
That's a result of that, doing that, but that shouldn't be your motivation for doing that.
That's right. Yeah. We're talking about changing from the inside out, because if we're selfish to the core, and that's the middle of our being, that has everything to do with our beliefs, our values, and our conduct.
Right.
Now, we're trying to approach this and have this spiritual being be the center of our core.
Yeah.
And have that have everything to do with our belief, our values, and our conduct. That's changing from the inside out. What is spirituality? Is it yelling out God as the car's turning over? Is it getting your driver's license back? Is it going to a meeting and feeling good because you're clean? Or is it a personal relationship with your Creator?
Wow, this is an amazing. God is so timely. Yesterday, I heard a message about what is worship, and the same questions we're kind of asked: is it singing songs? Is it going to church? We go to worship service. Is it this? Is it that? Blah 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 blah. And it's all those are outward expressions of worship. But what he was trying to get across to us, what is it really? It's a relationship with God. Mm-hmm. But we think it's, I do this, I do that, I teach, I learn, I praise, I sing, I blah, 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 blah.
I heard a guy say he was spiritual because he was clean.
Wow. See, being clean, it can be a result of being spiritual, but that's not being spiritual.
No. Yeah. And ain't that something?
And we've got it so backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you, Monty, it was literally years before I knew what it was to be spiritual.
Mm-hmm. So let's personalize this, because this is called Personalizing Steps 8 and 9. Put it in layman's terms what that is for you.
Today, it's a reliance upon God.
It's a reliance, not an independence.
No, I think that from this reliance, it's the only addiction that I've ever had that's gave me freedom. Now, people with addictions knows that is about the craziest thing they've ever heard.
Yeah.
But it set me free.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
It has set me free, and I'm the first one to say that I'm addicted to God.
Total reliance upon.
Yes, sir. I refuse in meetings on this radio station or anywhere I go to give credit for my sobriety and the attitude that I have today is set for God.
I was listening to somebody speak, and I really like what they said. They were saying that we were created in God's image. God breathed part of him into us. He says, but we miss that. He breathed part of him into us. He didn't breathe us into us. Right? So even the fact that we breathe, bleed, walk, talk is all based on what he's done. Mm-hmm. We didn't just jump out of the clay of the ground and go, look at me, create myself.
Well, I think people think that we were created for him, for his fellowship, and I believe that's a huge part of it. But I think he was perfectly happy with the Trinity. I think that he created a man for his glory.
The statement, some say that we were created to worship. I say we were created worshiping. When he created us, he breathed life into us, his life. So we default to that automatically. We default to a sense of worship. Now, what we are worshiping is where things get screwed up. Mm-hmm. But everybody worships something.
I think we better get back to this debate before we...
Well, this is the great reality.
Because I don't know how much time we have left, but I wanted to really tell a story about to make amends.
Yeah, why don't you? Because I think next week it breaks this down.
If you'll read the last part of that, make amends, where it's that where it affected others.
Yes. Let me read it again. Where the prayer and then the end of it. Mm-hmm. We ask that we be given strength and direction to do the right thing, no matter what the personal consequences may be. We may lose our position, our reputation, or face jail, but we are willing. We have to be. We must not shrink at anything.
I'm talking about the part where it talks about to harm others.
Oh, you mean in the step itself?
Yeah, in the step itself, because there's something I want to say there.
Yeah, in step 9 it says, may direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others.
So we do this step 8, and sometimes we do like you're talking about. We want to run out there if we don't have a sponsor. And there is a step that I've worked on with my sponsor for a long time. It wasn't just something that developed. We talked about it. And I'm convinced that if I was to go make amends for this step, that it would injure this person and others.
Right.
I'm positive it would add to their pain. Okay? So I talked with my sponsor about it, and I don't do it. And what I've asked God to do is that I'm willing to make the amends, Bonnie. I really, really am. Okay? And so I've asked God that if the door ever opens for me to make this amends, that he'll give me the willingness to do so. Because what I understand is the farther I get away from it, and I know I can't make it now, I might justify it down the line somewhere.
Wow, yeah.
Because it's been so long now that there really would be crazy to do it. So I'm asking God to hold me in readiness.
Wow, that's really good.
You see,
that's really good,
and to give me the willingness to go, because I am 100% convinced that this is the improper time.
Yeah,
and that I would injure others, and it might be. I'm never able to make it. It might be just the willingness to do so.
It reminds me, you remember Dr. Ruth Westheimer?
Yes, I do.
The elderly lady that did all the sexual shows?
Yes, I do.
I'll never forget this. And this was actually at a time where I was in this step, this process of these 12 steps. The very first time I was going through this formal working of steps 8 and 9. And I'll never forget, because my sponsor told me things just like you're talking about. Don't you dare make amends to make yourself feel good and put other people's peace in harm's way. And somebody called her up on the show and said, my mother is dying. She's got about 24 to 48 hours to live. And I feel like I just need to get this off my chest about the lifestyle I've chosen. I need to be honest with her and come clean about it. And Dr. Ruth said, how dare you? He said, you want to get this off your chest, or are you going to put it on her chest? This could kill her in an hour. And she didn't argue with him whether she thought what he was doing was right or wrong as far as his lifestyle choices. She was just saying, do you really want to do that to your mom? Because there's no time here to process her acceptance of you and go through all the pain. That is the most selfish thing that you can do. And I think we sometimes, in approaching this step, we'll start turning and thinking about all the benefits that we get out of it by making amends, and we totally forget about what the harm we can cause. Yeah. So I love your story because that is the amends in action. It really is.
Each case has to be taken and realized, because I think there's cases where parents are sick and children can go to them. If they go to them with the right heart and they tell them, I'm really sorry for my conduct over the years, and I love you.
Yeah.
Thank you for all that you've done for me. See, that might be all that you can do, but it might be something that done with the right heart and the right attitude would be something that someone could do. I would lead a person that direction. Then I would ask them, you have to make up your mind, because you know your parent better than me.
Right.
See,
yeah. You bet.
See, you're going to reap the benefit, and you're also going to reap anything else that comes. You see, I'm not going to do it because I'm your sponsor.
Yeah. That's right. So
you're going to get the good and the bad.
Okay, next week, bring to the table one of your stories of amends.
Okay.
I'll bring one. And then we'll talk, the big book actually gives some examples. It talks about the person that hates. It talks about the creditor. It also talks about the criminal offense, because people are going, I don't want to go to jail, and maybe if we have time, we'll touch on that. But we'll share a story or two of our personal amends process. How did we prepare for it? What was the outcome with the listeners? Because I think they really enjoy it when we share our personal stories. So awesome. All right, Bruce. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.
It's been a joy again. And don't take your headphones off. I want you to hear the end of this closeout.
Well, you know me by this time.
I know. All right, my friends. Until our next broadcast here at The Great Reality on Wednesdays, keep in mind, if you have a friend that says, I want to listen to Wednesday's show, but I missed it, you can go to Wednesday's show anytime.
Yeah. And next week, Cecil, I'll do better.
Yeah, Cecil, you hear that? He's going to do better. Well, we'll see. All right, we got great archives on all of our shows. Until our next broadcast, this is the Monty'man along with Bruce H. We're wishing God's perfect serenity for you.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
This has been a broadcast of Take 12 Recovery Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
Now, here, little Rudolph, come to Santa.